My lover is pregnant. I'll pay compensation, so please let's get a divorce. Over the phone, Patrick was pleading. I understood how he felt, but was it really necessary for him to throw my belongings into the yard? I understand how you feel, but shouldn't we discuss things before we divorce? Besides, we need to sign the divorce papers. The divorce papers are in the luggage. Upon checking the luggage, indeed, the divorce form filled out by Patrick was inside. It seemed he was serious. Holding the divorce papers, I thought. Understood. Thinking to myself, just as planned. I smirked. I'll fill in this divorce form and submit it to the office. Thank you. As I said that, I could hear a relieved voice on the other end. After hanging up, I arranged for a mover to take care of the luggage. Now, I need to contact Mandy. I quickly reached out to her to report everything, as she had been very supportive. At that moment, I felt mixed emotions about things going my way. I am Kristen Hansen, a 27-year-old career woman. I have always admired my hardworking mother and wanted to be like her when I grew up. Patrick, my husband, has been supporting me in this. I love seeing you strive towards your goals. Our relationship started in high school when he approached me while I was studying in the library. You're always studying, aren't you? Could you teach me sometime? Sure, that would be fine. As we studied together, we became aware of each other and eventually, Patrick asked me out and we started dating. I had never been interested in romance before and was excited about my first boyfriend. Kristen, you're grinning from ear to ear. Really? Does it show that much? Perhaps because of that, I was often teased by my best friend, Mandy. Mandy is mixed and because of her appearance, she was often excluded by others. Your eyes are so beautiful. I'd love for you to be my friend. Drawn to her beautiful green eyes, I approached her and we became friends. Sometimes, standing next to her as she grew into a beautiful half-Japanese woman made me feel embarrassed, but Patrick always reassured me. Kristen, you are beautiful enough. I like you more. Patrick has been affirming me, so I have remained friends with her. So far, I have had no trouble with my in-laws and am grateful for the blessed days with my husband and friends. Patrick, please put your clothes in the washing machine after you take them off. Yeah. Sorry. Patrick is perfect as a boyfriend, but leaves something to be desired as a husband. It's his carelessness. Clothes left where they were taken off, plates left after eating, and his smartphone left around everywhere. When we were living together, I felt motherly towards him and wanted to do everything for him. But this continuing after marriage turned into dissatisfaction. I'm just as tired from work as you are. The least you could do, since you get home earlier, is the basics. Patrick and I work at the same company, but in different departments. I work in sales, dealing with international clients. Patrick works in an administrative role. Due to the nature of my job, I often have to adjust my schedule to accommodate the time zones of our partners, which means I sometimes come home late. Therefore, Patrick usually gets home earlier. I do understand, but he would always smile and shrug it off. I have always forgiven him because of my affection, but if we were to have children, it would be necessary to correct this sooner. Hey, Patrick. I don't want to say this, but we are married now. When we have children, do you want to show them this behavior? When I said this, Patrick sincerely apologized. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. However, he still didn't move from the sofa. If you understand, could you move now? I'll do it later. His gaze remained on his smartphone. Sighing, I ended up cleaning up myself. This is why he doesn't learn, because I always end up doing things first. Perhaps we are alike as a couple in that way. Well, I understand how you feel, Kristen. After all, it's faster if you do it yourself. That's right. And since everyone did their own thing so neatly at home, I can't help but notice. Mandy laughed. Indeed. It was always so clean. She works in the same department as me at our company, allowing me to vent to her during breaks. Patrick's family is more laid back by nature, right? Mandy knows both my family and Patrick's. My family has always been supportive, with my stay-at-home dad supporting my career-oriented mom. Even though my mom was very caring towards our family, she didn't leave all the housework to my dad but actively helped. Having grown up in such a home, Patrick's behavior often bothered me. On the other hand, Patrick's parents are relaxed, and chores were done by whoever noticed them. But Patrick really relies on you too much, Kristen, and you've allowed that environment to continue. If you want to continue your married life, you should really talk it out. Nodding at Mandy's words, I agreed. It's okay for now, but if something were to happen to me, Patrick wouldn't be able to survive on his own. Moreover, due to my department, I often have to travel abroad. When I return from a business trip, it has become almost normal for me to clean up the messy room without any rest. We really need to have a proper talk for both of our sakes. Mandy smiled in support of my words. Since then, I've been nagging Patrick more than before to try and get him to change. Perhaps annoyed by this, he gradually started spending less time at home. I'm home. Welcome back. You're quite late, aren't you? That day, Patrick came home so late it was almost the next day. I had prepared dinner and was waiting for him, which led me to speak in a rather sarcastic tone. He then made a displeased face. Can't help it. I have social obligations too. Even so, a little communication would have been nice. Lately, you've been really naggy, Kristen. You used to laugh it off before. His complaint made me snap. True, until now, I had been cleaning up despite complaining. However, it wasn't like I had been forgiving him. I've told you before, right? Until now, I was the one who took the initiative. I bet Mandy wouldn't nag me like this. Unfortunately, she shares my opinion. In fact, she might even be stricter. If you prefer Mandy so much, why don't you switch to her? I retorted, feeling quite irritated. Finally realizing I was angry, Patrick looked at my face in surprise. Sorry, I was just frustrated with work and said something unpleasant. The only one I love is you, Kristen. Patrick said this with his usual smile. Realizing I had also been harsh, I took a deep breath to calm myself. I apologize for my sarcastic remarks. Patrick laughed. It's mutual. That smile was definitely what had attracted me, but at that moment, it felt superficial. Sigh. Why can't married life go smoothly? The next day, as I was eating lunch alone, I sighed. Today, Mandy had a meeting with overseas clients, which shifted her break time. Oh, Kristen, are things not going well with Patrick? Then, a woman approached me in a somewhat mocking tone. Vanessa. I sighed internally upon seeing her. She was Vanessa Brown, once a subordinate of mine, though not anymore. It's none of your business. Wow, Kristen, you're scary. That's why your marriage with Patrick is troubled. Vanessa chuckled. Frankly, we never got along well. I believe that regardless of gender, one should work hard and aim for promotion. However, she believes that as a woman, it's best to marry well and be a housewife. That's an issue between my husband and me. Before you criticize my private life, why don't you do your job properly? These days, being unable to use a computer properly is a hindrance. Her face soured at my words. Initially, she had joined my team as a subordinate. However, despite claiming during her interview that she had studied abroad and was fluent in Spanish, her Spanish was worse than a middle schooler's, and she couldn't even boot a computer without help. Consequently, she was quickly transferred out of our department because she was a burden. Enjoy it while you can. With those words, Vanessa walked away. Watching her leave, I sighed, feeling troubled by the attention from such a bothersome person. Kristen. Something serious. What's wrong, Mandy? It happened right after my talk with Vanessa. Mandy rushed over, pulling my arm anxiously. Kristen, calm down and listen. There's a rumor going around at the company. She then told me a shocking rumor. However, I thought to myself, I knew it. I might have sensed something faintly. Did you sense something? Maybe. It feels less like a surprise and more like, I thought so. Mandy appeared thoughtful after my response. Then, hey, Kristen. Do you still love Patrick? Her question left me speechless. Honestly, upon hearing that rumor, any love I had for him vanished instantly. The content of the rumor was that dreadful. To be honest, continuing this marriage is impossible the way things are now. In that case, I have a proposal. Are you interested? Without a moment's hesitation, I nodded. Soon after, I was scheduled to go on a business trip abroad. This business trip might be a bit longer than usual. Will you be okay alone? It's fine. If needed, I'll rely on my parents. While I was somewhat worried, I left Patrick in charge at home and set off overseas. Don't worry, I'll take care of things here. Right before departure, Mandy's reassuring words saw me off. She kept in touch regularly while I was abroad, updating me on the situation. Meanwhile, Patrick didn't contact me at all. Although I reached out, Patrick didn't even respond. I need to focus on my work right now. Despite the frustration Patrick's actions caused, I decided to concentrate on my own job. A week later, I completed my work and returned from my trip. Patrick? I'm at the airport now, heading home. I contacted Patrick just in case, but as usual, there was no response. Giving up on communication, I took my luggage and headed home. I need to focus on my work right now. What greeted me was my belongings left scattered in the yard. Shocked, I tried to enter the house, but the key didn't fit. So, I called Patrick. Hello? What's this all about? After finally getting a hold of Patrick, I asked him coldly. Kristen, please divorce me. What? My lover is pregnant. I'll pay compensation, so please let's get a divorce. Patrick pleaded over the phone. I understood how he felt, but why did he need to throw my belongings into the yard? I understand how you feel, but shouldn't we discuss things before we divorce? Besides, we need to sign the divorce papers. The divorce papers are in the luggage. Upon checking the luggage, indeed, the divorce form filled out by Patrick was mixed in. It seemed he was serious. Holding the divorce papers, I thought. Understood. Thinking to myself. Just as planned. I smirked. I'll fill out this divorce form and submit it to the office. Thank you. When I said that, I could hear a relieved voice. After hanging up, I arranged for a mover to help with the luggage. Now, I need to contact Mandy. I promptly reached out to her to report everything since she had been very supportive. At that moment, I felt mixed emotions about things going my way. Soon after, we proceeded with the divorce. As promised, Patrick paid both his and his lover's compensation to me. Kristen, I heard about it. You got divorced, right? When I returned to the office, Vanessa approached me with a smirk. Only our parents and Mandy knew about my divorce with Patrick. There was no way Vanessa, an outsider, should know. You're quite informed, aren't you? I haven't told anyone about the divorce. You seem to know a lot. That's... Well, of course. You're Patrick's lover, after all. Her shocked expression turned into a sly smile as I spoke. So, you knew, huh? You're not denying it. Well, if it's out there, no need to hide it. Patrick paid my share of the compensation too. She threw a triumphant smirk my way. To think she'd openly declare an affair at work. What did Patrick see in her? Patrick is my mentor at work. He's always kind and cool. Plus, he's going to be the next president. I stopped dead in my tracks at her words. The next president? Patrick? Unaware of my confusion, Vanessa bragged about how much Patrick loved her and how the old lady is now obsolete. After boasting at length, she walked away cheerfully, humming to herself. She's as intense as ever. Mandy must have been watching. She approached with a wry smile. Really? And to think she believes Patrick is going to be the next president. It's shocking. I wonder where she got that idea. Laughing with Mandy, I felt somewhat relieved. Seeing how she acted, I can guess why she went after Patrick. It seems she fell for the idea of Patrick as the next president, perhaps also seeking to spite me for my past admonishments as a newcomer. I never thought she'd be that foolish. As Mandy laughed and looked around, the people nearby were giving me sympathetic looks. We laughed, anticipating the scorn Patrick and Vanessa would face. A few hours later. Hey, Kristen. At break time, Patrick rushed into my department, his face showing panic. Everyone's telling me. How could you betray such a nice person? Even my parents said. We're ashamed you're our son. That's enough. Be quiet. Mandy stepped in as Patrick rambled on. If we talk here, it'll just lead to more rumors about Kristen. I've booked a conference room, we'll talk there. And let's also call her. With a bright smile, Mandy left Patrick pale-faced and nodding. Then we all went to the conference room Mandy had arranged, including Vanessa. So, Patrick, what did you want to say? Mandy's comment prompted Patrick to start talking. Apparently, there's a rumor going around the department that Patrick and Vanessa cheated and deliberately kicked me out of the house. Because of this, Patrick is now in an uncomfortable position. So, what do you expect me to do about it? After all, it's true that you betrayed me, isn't it? That's true. By the way, I didn't start the rumors. She openly declared her affair in front of other employees, didn't she? Saying this, Patrick abruptly looked towards Vanessa. However, Vanessa was nonchalantly twirling her hair, seemingly uninterested. It doesn't matter if it becomes a rumor. Once you become president, no one will complain. At those words, Patrick looked surprised. In contrast, we just smirked. What? Me, the president? What are you talking about? Now it was Vanessa's turn to freeze. Then, looking puzzled, she turned to Patrick. What? But aren't you the son of the president? No. The president is Kristen's mother. What? Vanessa exclaimed in shock. Indeed, my mother, who had always been a vigorous career woman, eventually became independent. She now struggles daily as the female president of the company where we work. But you said you were the president's son. Maybe I did say something like that. I meant it in the sense that I'm the son-in-law to Kristen's family. It seems Patrick's carelessness extended even to his conversations. He had caused a misunderstanding by not explaining things properly and speaking carelessly. By the way, are you really pregnant? At Mandy's words, Vanessa flinched. At her reaction, Patrick tilted his head in confusion, and I pulled out a photo. This is Vanessa? But she's drinking alcohol, right? The photo showed Vanessa drinking beer at what seemed like a pub. There was also a man in the photo, indicating she had relations with someone other than Patrick. This is. If you check the date, you'll see this was taken just 3 days ago. 3 days ago. By then, Vanessa's pregnancy should have been known. Therefore, it's a lie, right? Just a scheme to steal Patrick from me. Vanessa. Kristen's lying, right? You said you were happy about having our child. As he spoke, Patrick reached out to touch Vanessa, but she brushed off his hand. Yes, that's right. I couldn't stand the idea of such a woman becoming the future president's wife. So, I thought I'd take you from her. What a waste of time. Vanessa snapped back, and Patrick looked hurt. Why are you playing the victim? Also, I recorded our entire conversation. Saying that, I took out a recorder. We had gathered enough evidence. Now, let's make sure they take full responsibility. Sorry, Kristen. It was just a little game. As he spoke, he begged on his knees. I looked at him coldly. Just a little game, huh? Because of that, I was kicked out of my house. I really regret it. I'm deeply reflecting, you know me, don't you? As he pleaded, he tried his usual smile on me. But in response, I also smiled. I'm tired of being with you. As I said this, Patrick froze. You never listened to me, and even cheated. I'm completely done with you. But it's a relief you filed for divorce so quickly. Thanks to that, I have no hesitation about kicking you both out of the company. Mandy then smiled sweetly, though Patrick and Vanessa seemed confused by her words. The next president isn't Patrick or me, his daughter. Mandy is set to take over the company. Indeed, the true next president was Mandy. Her father is British, and she had spent her childhood vacations at her father's home in England. Her connections made there, along with her language skills acquired during her student years studying abroad, have propelled our company's performance. Her achievements are why Mandy was chosen as the next president. I trust her completely. That's the situation. We don't need scum like you in my company. You better start packing your things. After Mandy spoke, Patrick and Vanessa collapsed. I crouched down in front of Patrick. Patrick, you need to pack up at home too. What? Why? Because that house was a gift from my parents, remember? Indeed, the house we lived in was a present from my parents for our wedding. The property is in my name, and Patrick is actually the one who should be moving out. So, I'm being kicked out of both the house and the company. If you were still a valuable employee, I would have kept you on, but unfortunately, your performance reviews are the worst. Mandy had previously spoken with Patrick's supervisor about his work performance. It appears that Patrick frequently makes mistakes at work, becoming a liability. However, he was assigned as a trainer because he is good at instructing others. Furthermore, after hearing about the terrible rumors, I decided to definitely fire you. Terrible rumors. These were about Patrick and Vanessa having an affair, which I had heard right before I went on a business trip. It seems these two were openly affectionate at the company, enough to become the subject of gossip. I cannot keep employees who engage in misconduct at the company. I will report this to the president. Use the remaining time to look for another job. Upon hearing this, Patrick was visibly disheartened. The timing of my business trip was actually meant to highlight their affair. I thought you and your girlfriend would surely make a move if I was overseas. Indeed, the overseas trip was partly because the client specifically requested me. However, it was work that could have been done remotely. But I figured that if Kristen was out of town, you two would definitely slip up. Especially Vanessa, who is eager to marry you, Patrick, would likely take some action. The two were shocked by our words. They probably didn't realize they were being played by us. Are you saying you set me up to cheat? I didn't encourage you to cheat. You chose to act, and you will take responsibility for that. Patrick tried to say something in response but, unable to find the words, just hung his head. Of course, you will take responsibility too. I'm not to blame. It's Patrick who deceived me. As Mandy's gaze turned to Vanessa, she started to rant as if she was desperate. Vanessa. You knew what would happen if you got involved with a married man. But I've suffered because of you too. Don't even think you can just escape this. Soon after, they were both fired. Their poor performance reviews and the fact that they engaged in an affair during work hours were the deciding factors. Sigh. Good job. Mandy chuckled and comforted me, completely worn out by the ordeal. Thank you so much. I would have been lost without you, Mandy. It's okay. This is my way of repaying you. Due to her appearance, Mandy was often harassed and had no friends. I was her first friend. Since the day you became my friend, I decided I would always be there for you, no matter what. To her words, I simply responded with a thank you. I truly felt fortunate to have such a good friend. Afterwards, Patrick, who was kicked out of the company, went back to his parents' house but was apparently turned away. We had been together since high school. Therefore, I was well acquainted with Patrick's parents, who had always treated me kindly. When we got engaged, his mother was overjoyed, saying she had always wanted a daughter. Nevertheless, they could not accept their son after he betrayed and divorced me. I'm truly sorry about what our foolish son has done. His mother apologized over the phone, declaring they would never take Patrick back. It seems the in-laws kept their promise. Struggling to make ends meet through odd jobs, Patrick's sloppy nature led to repeated mistakes and tardiness, resulting in him being fired from job after job. Meanwhile, Vanessa fell for a worker at a nightclub and got into trouble that involved the police. She showed no signs of remorse, which even frustrated the police. It appears her own parents have disowned her, leaving her to face a harsh reality after being released from police custody. It's good that they faced the consequences of their own actions. Knowing their aftermath, I muttered to myself. Then, Patrick contacted me. I'm truly sorry. I want to reconcile with you, Kristen. Hearing this from Patrick, I decided to ask him something. Hey, you actually liked Mandy more than me, didn't you? Patrick fell silent at my words. I had felt uneasy when he mentioned Mandy that day. If his real intention was with Vanessa, he wouldn't have brought up Mandy's name, he would have said a younger colleague instead. You really liked Mandy. You approached me back in our student days because I was the closest to her, right? Yes. But as we dated, I grew to love you more. I can't believe those words. After I said this, Patrick tried to argue. No. But his words no longer reached me. I truly loved you, Patrick. But now, I have no feelings left for you. So, don't contact me ever again. After saying that, I hung up the phone. He was my first love. I muttered to myself and blocked Patrick's contact. Now, I need to move on. Reinvigorated, I prepared for what's next. Mandy would be struggling as the next president. I owed her a great deal for her help and was determined to support her fully. Thinking this, I refocused on my work. Kristen, thanks to your business trip abroad, our performance has improved again. It's not just my achievement. Since then, Mandy has been looking out for me in many ways. So, Kristen, are you interested in taking on a challenge at our overseas branch? Hearing this, I looked at Mandy. She was staring back with a serious expression. I'd like to hear more about that. Going abroad would physically distance me from Patrick, which might help me move on. And so, I decided to go to the overseas branch. It turned out to be a good move, as I later learned that it helped me avoid Patrick, who had been lurking outside the company waiting for me. He waited impatiently and grew frustrated when I didn't show up. A security guard became suspicious of him and called the police. I yelled at him, "Don't ever show your face in front of me or her again." Laughing, Mandy told me she had urged me to consult with a lawyer to get a restraining order. We also informed him that if he tried to contact me again, we would call the police. Thanks to that, Patrick never appeared in front of me again. By the way, Vanessa also contacted me recently. She asked to be rehired. She wasn't dealt with? Don't worry. Before I could chase her away, your mother told her. We don't need someone as incompetent and lacking basic decency as you. And drove her off. My mother is strong indeed. Hearing that story, I felt relieved and was able to focus on my work with a clear mind. After some time, Mandy was officially recognized as the next president, and the transition process had begun. My overseas experience had helped me grow significantly. Mandy is running late, huh? Today, I plan to have drinks with Mandy to appreciate her constant hard work. We were supposed to meet in front of the company, but she hadn't shown up yet. I was just thinking about contacting her when... Kristen? Oh, hello there. A male colleague approached me, looking puzzled at seeing me, but he understood after I explained. If you don't mind, I can keep you company for a while. Taking up his offer, I chatted with him to pass the time. It turned out we shared some hobbies, and we quickly hit it off. Oh, look at you two, having fun. I hadn't even noticed Mandy's arrival because of our engaging conversation. Her teasing tone made both of us blush. Would you mind if I asked for your number? Following that, he and I started dating. I'm glad. Kristen seemed so down after breaking up with Patrick. It appears I had been worrying Mandy. Determined to reassure her this time, I resolved to be more discerning moving forward.